jacked up review show. It's a jacked up review show. Jacked up review show. It's a jacked up review show.
Join us as we cover many an insane movie and numerous cult TV phenomenons. Are you ready to get jacked up? Are you with us? Then listen on.
Listener discretion is advised. It's a jacked up review show. It's a jacked up review show. Jacked up review show. It's a jacked up review show. It's a jacked up review show. Jacked up review show.
And we're back. Attack of the V Movies podcast. John Potoky.
Hey, how's it going? Glad to be back.
All right. We had just wrapped up like a hour-long discussion of Blade, and I was like, you know what? Instead of just talking about this Blade, why don't we just talk about the movie or TV superheroes that we just respond to? I'm not talking, best adaptations or best comic book movies, just like the best comic book heroes, like the badasses, is like who happen to have supernatural powers. And we just figured, hey, it could be original or it could be, a loose adaptation, a direct adaptation. It could be something that was a mixture of everything, So
For sure.
there's been just so many who we swear by, and I think the ones that really stand out the most are ones that somehow inject some kind of level of humanity in between all the stylized ass kicking. And they're definitely hard to do because, some of these guys really lean into the anti-hero.
I think that still qualifies, right?
Yeah.
I kind of hate the term anti-hero because it has this connotation that they're like necessarily. To me, it's like realistic hero.
There's that, and
You know what I mean? Like,
people were doing it even with regular heroes back in the day. It's just they didn't really talk about it. Oh yeah, technically he did shoot a guy who was just a junkie, not necessarily a bad guy, but it's become even bigger. So starting from where we originally were, so I feel like talked about hero, anti-hero. More or less. I think superhero movies are getting needlessly competitive.
mm-hmm.
And it's just kind of the point where it's like, I should be able to like it all or hate it all or differentiate. It's okay,
Yeah, I think there's room for the way Marvel does them, and there's room for DC's. And DC trying to do what Marvel does, it's kind of like, listen, just do, as they say, just do you. Don't worry about trying to copy them or whatever. And then in third place are the Universal monsters. Just do what you want to do, and you don't need to try making them dark epic movies like they sometimes try to. And then, like I said, sadly, then you have the Universal monsters who are left out in the cold.
Yeah, when they were thinking of saying, let's have it be like Marvel or DC, and it's like, no, how about you just have a cool, fight to the death kind of movie with them all in it,
Oh, that'd be one way to do it, yeah. Or somehow they team up to stop a different evil or something.
Hell, wasn't that what the Monster Squad was? So I'm just saying.
That's true, it was.
So if I had to rank any of these superheroes, we're going to do both original creations and comic book adaptations. I'm going to go with number one, it being Darkman.
Oh, that's a good one.
Parts of it might not have dated well to everybody, but come on. They tried doing a TV pilot of this. They had 2 direct-to-video sequels, one of them that was really semi-entertaining. So it's like, there was just something about this Frankenstein-type creature meets he was not too different from the other Sam Raimi creation that was, Ash and Evil Dead. He was just so quirky and wacky. It was cool seeing Liam Neeson play against type right after Schindler's List, and actually
man.
no before, but yeah.
I totally forgot that was Sam Raimi too. Wow.
Yeah. And it feel you could easily have it be a double feature with one of the Tim Burton Batmans, or even goofier shit like Albert Pion's Captain America. There's just something about it that is just very laid back. And even for an R rating, it's a pretty tame R rating. You could easily show to a 14-year-old. They'll be fine. But it's just...
I mean, it's mostly probably for violence, if anything.
It's actually, I think, more just from the language. But yeah, there's like some brief violence. But I mean, it's tame. It's not gruesome or gross. It's wacky.
Yeah, it's one I totally it's a movie I always forget about, but I remember watching it when I was younger, and it was good. I enjoyed it. I was always surprised it didn't go anywhere.
Yeah, and Universal seemed to give it a big treatment, but yet you kind of wish there was kind of more fanfare for it instead of just, oh yeah, that's so good. It's like, yeah, but I want more than just movie fanboys talking about it. I want, there to be an anniversary screening of this more often.
That would be cool.
I think the villain is super awesome. The other ways the henchmen are treated just like every henchman should be, either as a brief throwaway comedic line or just getting dispatched instead of just this constant, we got to hire, a bunch of famous people to be all this. But no, it's like they got all semi-known actors at the time, Liam Neeson was still only known for just being a bit part actor in UK and US productions. And, Larry Drake, and you're talking about freaking LA Law right there. So, just to have just all these minor characters and all these scenes they thought about filming but didn't use because they just thought it would just fly over people's heads. They did enough little discretion and freedom of doing what they wanted to do that they could. And I think it paid off. I mean, and I just, this action hero stands out to me because he very much like other stuff around the same time, like, defense and falling down, is just kind of a guy who's just in the middle of everything and then just says, all right, motherfucker, now this is my fight. You fucked up my body.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
You don't need any other motivation there. Everything else is just a set piece from that point on. And,
I mean, really, a lot goes to be said for, I don't even know, did I say that right? A lot. Yeah, whatever. A lot goes to be said for a good revenge plot, right? Like,
yeah,
sometimes it's like all you need to make something good. Why does it have to be some epic world-changing event?
Right. You cheated on my girlfriend, and I was always had a thing for her, even though we never once locked eyes. Why does everything have to be so twisted to the point of pretentiousness, but also just flat out bad, ridiculous, even by comic book standards? It can just be.
They do it so people at Sundance like it.
Exactly. It's like, okay, if you want Robert Altman, you can make a movie for his silly crowd. I'm not watching it for that. I'm watching it for
entertainment.
Yeah, it can be John Wick, or it can be Equalizer, or it can even be something way more demented like Taxi Driver, or one of the better Death Wishes. I don't know. And
one of the better Death Wishes.
If there's such a thing, I don't know. As a whole, I mean, I'd even have to rank number 9, RoboCop.
Oh, RoboCop's fantastic.
And
it really foreshadowed Detroit too. I mean, as sad as that is to say,
there's that, and it's really pisses me off how so many people do not remember it for being a satire movie. They remember it for being either a scientific movie or an action movie, but they don't really remember.
Dude, the car was called the SUX. This sucks, whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, come on. It was clearly poking fun at stuff.
A guy gets shot in the penis. I mean, there's...
Oh, yeah.
The whole corporation is like a cyberpunk nightmare and just waiting to happen. I mean, who knows what that could represent in today's world? Amazon? I don't know.
It's like William Gibson and Arnold Schwarzenegger wrote a book together.
Absolutely. And I mean, Verhoeven, I miss him to death. It's a shame that he got so fed up with Hollywood. He's like, never again. He was like all the Hong Kong legends where You have this Dutch filmmaker who's shot all these other famous people's movies in and out of state, and here, he had so many opportunities, and he just finally said, "You guys are impossible." And it's a shame that it had to go that route. I wish he could have made a. The last I checked, they were thinking of making a faithful original sequel that he had scripted years ago, but I mean, that's going to be a development hell for all we know. So it's a shame that this never got a proper sequel.
Oh, everything's development hell.
Exactly. It's
one of the rare things with RoboCop was that the sequel was almost as good as the original.
I thought it was fun at times. I just kind of had issues with just some of the other villains just played too much to the camera instead of just being over the top yet in on the joke, if that made sense.
Yeah,
but
I could see that. I mean,
Robocane was very awesome.
My perspective is a little different, but I mean, it's fine. I mean,
I love Robocane.
I
find it ironic that they decide to. I think as much what little satire is there in his works is like how ironic that the deadliest machine, they of course get a felon, a well-known arsonist and gang leader and serial killer for all we know, and it's like, hey, sure, why don't we test him out as our newest contraption, make him a robot? And I just feel like it ends a little anticlimactic due to studio interference. But I mean, part 3 is kind of fun if you just take it as that and don't pay attention to all the awful, catering to the kids moments.
Yeah, but part 3, I mean, right in the beginning, the partner gets gunned down, right?
Yeah, that was fucked up, and then
then he flies.
And the flying stuff is pretty cool, and yet at the same time, it doesn't feel like it belongs in that kind of movie. So it's like
exactly. It's like, well, what do we do to appeal to the kids? Well, Superman flies.
I mean, I'm sure Verhoeven could have tried something like that at some point. It's just they decided to whatever satirical moments that Frank Miller, the comic book writer of Sin City, was injecting, they were always just overriding. They had to have their 2 cents, and he's like, I gotta add this, I gotta add that. And I'm like, no, whatever he's doing, let it stay.
Yeah. Well, and that happens a lot.
Oh yeah, Training Day is like, I kid you not, like probably the only script that only got rewritten once, and it was already by the same scribe. It's like every other movie seems to have to be rewritten 5 to 20 times with all these uncredited people and to appease the Writers Guild. And it's like, do you really want to be known for that? I mean, people keep track of that. People go to the IMDb page and they look at that shit.
Long ago, there was a Mystery Science Theater episode where they're watching a movie, and he goes, 4 writers on the screenplay. Oh, we're in for trouble.
Exactly.
He says something to that effect, and it's like he's right. I mean,
they did.
Not everyone's vision is going to be the same vision.
They did it about 3 years ago when they riffed Anaconda live. There's 4 writers on that piece of shit, and you're like, oh my god. This is like, for such a silly, wacky creature feature and 4 people. I mean, it can't be all about the dialogue, can it? Anywho, I think RoboCop just appeals because he's both a funny guy and a victim, and I mean, the Jesus Christ symbolism really does work well.
And it works as an action movie or a sci-fi movie too, or both, right? Like, people that don't like science fiction, it's like, well, watch this. You like seeing people get shot in the nuts? Here you go.
There's that. I mean, him using this, data port as a middle finger. It's just like it is the ultimate. I mean, satirical look at everything. I mean, you're surprised at the end that there's no mayor or some other politician.
The ultimate satirical look? I don't know. I got one that's I think might be more satirical, but
all right, for number 8. All right.
Number 8, I'm going to go with Demolition Man.
Oh yeah, so John Spartan's the ultimate superhero.
It's like if you picked movies for the dad starter kit to get your kid to watch action movies, it would be like Commando, Demolition Man.
Yeah, this is for superhero though.
Well, David, he is though, right? Like,
okay.
Yeah, no, but you look at like John Spartan. He's larger than life. He's and then Wesley Snipes is Wesley Snipes is a supervillain.
I guess, yeah. So that's fair. So I guess Simon Phoenix is basically freaking Iceman.
Well, remember when they bring him out
Not
has
Iceman,
all the
Mr. Freeze.
yeah. Well, when they bring him out of cryogenic suspension, Snipes' character Phoenix has all the knowledge of everything to do
That's true.
with the city, and then he gives himself more like fight technique. He just downloads everything to himself. So
Right.
he really is a supervillain. And John Spartan would be, you could argue the fact that Batman doesn't have any superpowers,
That's true too. And
so or the Punisher.
yeah, there's various moments where they're flat out just referencing stuff like the Terminator movies and other stuff, and it's a great movie. and that
Taco Bell won the fast food wars.
Yeah, Arnold Schwarzenegger running for president. Yeah, just all this stuff that is just even more awesome years later. And to all these critics, shove it up your ass. It
actually almost got better because we had a toilet paper shortage, and what did people start talking about? The 3 seashells.
Oh my God, that's great. And
I mean, it's very satirical on society and where it was headed. And like I said, he really is kind of a superhero. I mean, especially in that time period, no one knows how to fight. No one knows how to do the stuff he does.
Absolutely. And it's just so wild how they go for all this other wacky stuff. And to them,
the car explodes. It turns into a foam cannoli.
Oh yeah,
bags. I mean,
so many great just visual references, great chemistry between everybody. Great.
Oh my God, Dennis Leary.
Dennis Leary is and Jack Black is the gang members, and
oh my God, Jack Black was it? I didn't even realize that.
Yeah, he's one of his right hand guys. He's just kind of looking at him, missing like, but yeah, Sandra Bullock is basically a super cop partner. It's like wow, just to have all these diehard type villains, and
it was a good cast. I mean, everybody, and it really looked like they all enjoyed being in the movie.
Oh, they did. And Benjamin Bratt with a shit-eating grin on his face. It's great. But
oh yeah,
this could easily be a good double feature with RoboCop. In fact, just to see.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, because there's an evil corporation in that one. It's definitely cyberpunk. It's just like wow. Okay, I wish they did make more movies like this. Everybody has to, aside from not knowing how to make a fun movie, just kind of wants to get so bogged down by just here's what the star wants, here what's the director's wants. It's like, why don't you guys just get it done and figure it out in the editing room?
Yeah, I don't know how they managed to make Demolition Man as good as they did. I don't know
Joel
how
Silver yelling at Stuart Baird what he wanted.
I guess. I mean, but it worked.
Joel loves movies. I can vouch for that from other people who've known him, but there's other people who just remembered, Stuart Baird, who's better known for editing stuff like Skyfall and Die Hard 2 and directing movies like Executive Decision and U.S. Marshals. He, that all these, it was a typical 90s thing where they made sure the money was on the screen, regardless of what expensive actors they got. And it definitely is interesting how many other movies that go direct to video kind of reference this movie for whatever reason. It's like, hey, the future can be goofy. You're coming here for that after all.
Yeah.
For number 7, I got to go with The Matrix. Freaking Neo was my superhero growing up.
Oh yeah.
Just much like any of the characters in the Unbreakable Glass saga, it's just, I mean, I could give that an honorable mention, or you can, I don't know. I just, with Matrix, it was just very neat just seeing all these people basically train each other to be their own superhero while, combining all these anime and Hong Kong tropes. Video game for that matter. It's basically a video game superhero is what it is, but it's Neo becoming the one as a whole. It just, I can't even blame anyone wanting to dress up as him as a cosplayer. Just they take out a sword and just dress up in all black with glasses and just, do the bring it on kung fu movement.
Oh yeah.
And
it was such a
fly like
revolution
Superman.
time too.
Yeah, but to fly like Superman and slowly learn skills, that it might be silly, it might be popcorn, but it's kind of inspiring. It really is to just have that guy who's basically a Jedi just go around, be the one. And I can't say enough good things about Matrix, but
I couldn't tell you how many times I've watched it, and honestly, the minute the movie was over, we left the theater and went to Best Buy and bought the soundtrack. Even like everything about that movie was good. The music,
yeah.
the,
Yes.
the soundtrack, the incidental music,
The noir type filmmaking,
the combination of cyberpunk and noir was perfect.
the mystery reveals.
Yeah, the Alice in Wonderland-esque illusions, or
rabbit hole.
You know where he's got the white rabbit on the tattoo or whatever.
The colorful dialogue, seeing the super villain that could easily be Hans Gruber mixed with some other super villain. Yeah, just as Agent Smith. Morpheus is the most inspiring mentor ever. Trinity is the most sexy yet sarcastic tomboy partner. It's fucking awesome. And I know the sequels are acquired taste. I actually watch those quite a lot. I love the whole thing, but I know that's a controversial pick.
Well, yeah, but if you like it, right?
I want to be the one.
Yeah, who doesn't?
Oh dear. So number 6. Who would you rank as just it can be, we can keep doing the original ones or just one of the adaptations?
Well, I mean, let's go. I mean, I know you already talked about this one, but I mean, realistically, Blade, the movie that saved Marvel. I mean, Marvel as a company was almost bankrupt, and then they sold the rights to Blade, and that was when they were like, we can make money selling the rights to movies. And the thing was, until pre-Blade, I don't think there had been a really, really good comic book adaptation.
No, not really.
Right? Because, like, the Punisher with Dolph Lundgren was, I mean, a lot of them were you watched them as a comic book fan and you liked it because it was what it was. But, man, Blade was, and another one, the soundtrack, the cinematography, everything in that movie.
Yeah,
and it opens with that rave scene with that pounding remix of the New Order song. Confusion by New Order.
One of my favorites.
And then the blood kicks in, and then that guy's just sitting there and like, oh shit. But
yeah,
man,
when I look at it now,
when Snipes makes that entrance, and this is Snipes, I want to say, right? Was this Snipes right after Demolition Man?
Yeah, Demolition Man '93, and this is 5 years later, and so by then he's already done plenty of other leading man roles, and to finally have him a solid franchise that can easily rival anything that Planet Hollywood's done, while also, much like Keanu and Matrix, just have this slow motion Highlander-esque kind of immortal vampire who still has very serious yet dry sense of right and wrong, having a mentor, having to show this everyday gal who's a cool protagonist in her own right, just that everything is a lie. Some of these cops are actually vampires. Some of these other guys are just up to no good. Some of these Yakuza gangsters are control this area because they're stalkers of the night, and I have to keep them at bay, literally, to make sure they don't overpopulate or turn this whole LA city into chaos.
And the fight scenes were so good. I mean,
Terminator.
He was like Neo pre-Neo.
It was pre-Neo, but it was also,
he had the trench coat. He had the samurai sword.
So it's like the Terminator, where it's just seeing this guy unleash chaos in an organized fashion. And like you say, the fights were good, but they moved the story forward, and that there were some snappy one-liners, and it's like, that's all I need to know. You got all these Lost Boys type villains, and just having them, it's an action fantasy horror movie, and just to see it be so hip and yet deserving of the word cool is just like that. They don't make movies much like that I can say where you really feel like they pay off. No,
not at all. Not like, they really don't. And even a lot of not until Iron Man was there another one I thought that was as good.
Yeah, I mean, to see not just any kind of normal guy. See a guy who was raised by a vampire but knows why they're bad, and have him be smart but not to where he has it all figured out, but have some other just snappy kind of just dialogue that really just kind of what the audience is thinking, while also telling you a little bit about himself. And if he's not talking, then the environment's kind of talking for him. It's like that should be how you describe everything. And it also shows you that a lot of these movies do put some serious effort into creating their world. And
and it was another basically revenge story.
It is a revenge movie, yeah. And
I mean,
it's kind of what I like to call kind of like Lost Boys and Near Dark, just the anti-vampire movie, where it's like Gone is just only gothic, seduction. Instead, enter a world where
vampires are dicks.
Exactly. much
they're
like
not sexy, they're douchebags.
Yeah, much like the X-Men, they are fighting each other. They have their turf wars. They have their honor code. They might as well be gangsters in a musical. They all dance this dance, and if you're not dancing like them, you better get out of their way. And that's what I also like too. You don't feel like it was all last minute.
No, even the script seemed very well thought out, very well put together.
Yeah, the scripts are actually worth reading. It's a lot of fun.
Oh, really?
The opening of the movie number one script has a man enters, a nightclub with a "fuck me sideways" look. I'm like, that was awesome. To see someone use a description that vivid and off color, that's awesome. And I definitely like to think of. I think a lot of scripts benefit from doing a lot of that nowadays. That really does invite the actor to go to a different place, and it also allows the other collaborators to say, okay, we know the rules, have conflict, don't be over convoluted, don't waste time setting it up.
Totally agree.
Yeah, for sure. So we mentioned Darkman, Robocop, Matrix, Blade,
Demolition Man.
Oh yeah, Demolition. Okay, so
we don't lose track of the numbers.
I know. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6. Would that? Wait, no. That would.
We're at 5, right?
10, 9, 8. Yeah. So now we're at 5. Okay. I'm gonna go with Captain America.
I will agree with you, even though it's not my favorite of the. You talking about the old one or new one? I assume the new one.
Newer ones, but
okay. Yeah, I know.
But
the first Avenger.
Right, but it's definitely it's had a rough past. A lot of bad movies and goofy comic books, even politics. I can't even really get behind in the comic book, where it's like he's basically just a guy who you saw. Much like they depict in the first Avenger, he's a propaganda icon. Come on, boys, give him hell. But in the movies, it's kind of fun.
For the time period that he existed, I get why, right? Like, I mean, he came out during the Nazi occupation of Germany and all that.
And
so
these new movies work because they invest so much, 3 Days of the Condor and Indiana Jones type espionage. It's relentlessly fun. And Chris Evans was just perfect casting in terms of just being, the right, getting in shape, but also he'd been in all these other failed comic book movies, and just to see him.
Scott Pilgrim vs. the World.
Oh, well, there you go. And then you got Push, which is kind of fun, but kind of it's anticlimactically. And so to have him be very dry-witted, much like he was in serious movies like Cellular and Street Kings, and then finally get his star on the Walk of Fame, to doing this kind of signature role, that is very much like he's technically part of the Weapons X program, much like Deadpool and Wolverine, but to see him
like he's like the original.
Right. And to see him actually kind of question everything that he is, realize that
there's definitely growth. There's character growth for sure. Yeah.
And much like Demolition Man, he's frozen and unfrozen. And
oh my God, that's right. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah. We'll return after these messages.
Hey, feeling down? Feeling low? Not enough podcasts about movies in your life? Why not try
They must be destroyed on sight.
the new Podcast Cure-All, sure to get you right with the world and on a path to better living. We have exploitation, we have Italian horror, we have zombies, we have slashers, we have crime films, we have spaghetti westerns, we even have sci-fi and sex comedies. So take a dose of
They must be destroyed on sight.
as needed, and let the hosts, Lee Russell, Daniel Harper, Paul Romali, and the odd guest host cure what ails you.
Warning, may cause atrophy, African consumption, black fever, bone shave, chin cough, colic, cramp colic, dropsy of the brain, elephantitis, grocer's itch, jaundice, mania, miasma, mortification, palsy, Pott's disease, rheumatism, scurvy, St. Anthony's fire, summer complaint, and worm fit in some people. Consult a physician before listening.
Hey, I heard you like movies.
I heard you like to hustle.
I heard you like podcasts.
Well, guess what?
There's a podcast for you out there called The Home Video Hustle.
Damn right.
Every Friday, we talk about whatever movie PJ picks out the bag. What does that mean? Every Wednesday on our YouTube page, I put a bunch of movies in a bag, and PJ picks one out at random. And then we just watch it. And we talk about it for maybe like an hour, hour and a half, 2 hours, whatever we feel like doing, wherever the conversation leads us.
But do we actually talk about the movie?
Most of the time.
Ah,
Tangents galore.
yes.
So believe me, we may be a movie podcast, but it's not always about movies. We may talk about video games,
Music.
Yeah, that's the big one, music. Sometimes we might get a little bit of politicalness in there.
Yes.
Sometimes we may just, we know what we like to do. We like to tell stories, PJ.
Ah, yes.
I am the master storyteller
Yes.
of the podcast realm. Undefeated. So if you like to hear about movies, video games, whatever foolishness comes to our mind, the most random stuff you could think of, check out the Home Video Hustle. You can find us on the Stitchers,
Yes.
the Google Play,
Yes.
Apple Podcasts,
What else?
Podbean,
What else?
Podcast Addict,
Goddamn.
all that. Ain't no reason you can't get your hustle on. We everywhere, worldwide, baby.
Hustle, motherfucking hustle.
Hey, we can't cuss in the promo, PJ.
Ah,
We gotta be family friendly. There may be podcasts out there that don't want his hair say
ah, ah,
all
ah.
that good fun stuff.
Well, you.
Yeah. don't run the listeners away, PJ.
Ah, I'm sorry.
But this is going kind of long.
Yes.
So we're going to end this and say, hey, check out the Home Video Hustle every Friday on all the various podcast outlets. Peace.
Peace.
As far back as I can remember, I always wanted to be a gangster. And while Witch didn't make it to the top of the world, he did make the Gangs of Hollywood podcast. So join the gang and enjoy a movie review podcast about movie gangs, gangsters, mobsters, and the mayhem they cause. You can find GOH Podcast on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at GOH Pod at www.gohpod.com, as well as your favorite podcast listening app. And remember, say hello to your little friend for me.
If you take two old punk rockers who are past their prime, put them in front of a movie screen and give them a podcast, what do you get? Cinema Punks. Cinepunks. It's the mixtape of movies.
Did you ever see a film at such a young age it left you traumatized with cinematic wounds? Necrophilia. It's a dead issue, man. Don't push it. Cinema Psyops is a weekly podcast documenting an ongoing experiment on the mind of an unwilling test subject.
No one should have to watch this movie.
Oh, no one should have to watch this?
No one should have to watch this movie.
Surprisingly, it's not a topic that a lot of people really want to tackle.
I'm shocked, prudes.
I know, really.
Right?
It's the next sexual frontier that no one wants to explore.
I am, in the most sincerest of senses, disappointed in you.
It takes a powerful goddess like Connie, jam her arm down the monster's throat and kill it. Oh, I'm still tripping out over that. Even as a kid, I was like, I gotta find a girl like that. Every week I get a new look of disappointment that I never thought I could get out of it.
Unimaginable. At 12 years old, you should not be watching this movie.
Obviously.
At 13, you should not be. 14, you shouldn't be. I'm not entirely sure even 17-year-olds should be watching this.
Just because you're offended by something doesn't mean that you have the right to demand that it doesn't exist. Watching this film again, I had all of this like little nerd glee with everything that kept
little
popping
history
up.
doll popping up
absolutely.
at you.
So I totally loved this film.
Hey, I know why you couldn't see that. It's because your brain's warped from watching this shit at 12 years old.
Yeah, this is a rough movie. I told you ahead of time when we were getting ready to do it that it was.
How
gonna be
did
a
you
rough
watch
one.
this shit at 12?
Because physical wounds heal, cinematic ones don't. Listen to Cinema Psyops.
Hey everybody, I'm Corey. And I'm Zach, and we're the hosts of Podcasting After Dark, a cast dedicated to late-night horror and sci-fi of the 80s and 90s, often found on HBO and Cinemax.
You know, the movies your parents didn't want you watching as a kid. You can find us every other week on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Podbean, and Stitcher.
This is what you want.
This is what you get.
It's time, let's check our cue, baby. Pair it with a couple brews, baby. We love good movies. We love the bad ones too. So we watch them all and pass their lessons on to you. Oh yeah. Everything I learned from movies helps to make life a little bit groovy. With a one-last plot holes of gratuitous movies. It's time to get busy with your friend Steve and Izzy. At eilfm.podbean.com.
Hi, everybody. It's Mac Jackson. I wanted to invite you to a new site called the Forever Adventure Network. This website has everything: pictures, videos, blogs. There's original music by Harmony Constant, 2 podcasts. One is the MacGyver Podcast, where we celebrate Richard Dean Anderson, his iconic roles, and how it's influenced our lives. There's episode discussions, interviews, and life conversations. The second podcast is the Never Gets Old Podcast, where we celebrate all the best things that we love in life, from TV, movies, music, and comics. The site is also the home for the MacGyver SG-1 audio series, an ongoing adventure series that continues the adventures of MacGyver and SG-1. There are also multiple stores to choose from for all of your pop culture and adventure needs. Come on by and check us out today. And thanks for joining the adventure.
We now continue with our program.
And all these other guys, they're super soldiers just like him, and we don't have just the guy who has is the size of a bug, a giant mutant bug. Instead, you got just guys who are other soldiers, renegades from the same program, and he has to question if they're actually doing the right thing or if he can convince them to unite with him to fight against a greater evil. So I think the reason he's always going to impress on every screen that he's on is that he's just kind of mixes an everyday kind of icon with just other just one-man army kind of tropes, and that's kind of the draw.
So I have a confession to make, though. I like Chris Evans. I like him cast as Captain America. I like how the films are made, but I'm just not a big Captain America fan, and it's hard for me to get past that. You know what I mean? Like,
oh, you mean as from the comics, or just as
just in general? Like, Captain America and Superman are 2 characters that to me are just so goody most of the time that I'm like, oh god, no. Like, I'm much more the Batman anti-hero kind of person. So I
Yeah.
think Chris Evans was fantastic as him, and I think over time I liked him better in the newer movies where he's had more growth and realized that the government's not always looking out for everybody the way he thinks.
I guess I just kind of cheated because Joe Johnston just kind of injected a lot of the same stuff that he did with the Rocketeer, just that whole escapism.
God, that's a great movie too. But I mean, I agree they're good. I mean, I can't say it's a bad movie. Put it that way. I just if
You know, it doesn't resonate as personally to you. I get it. It's fine.
Yeah. But I think Chris Evans did a fantastic job. I loved watching them, and I love the bloopers with him. They're great.
Oh,
you know?
really?
And the chemistry
Okay.
with him and Robert Downey Jr. in the Avengers movies is fantastic.
Yeah.
So there's a lot I like. Yeah.
Even the Hulk, just to have that kind
Mark
of.
Ruffalo, he was great for that role.
Mm-hmm.
Wouldn't Mark Ruffalo make a great Columbo?
I would be down to see it. It couldn't hurt. You would definitely have lots of just kind of fun daringness, if you will, just to say, okay, you know.
Sorry, that was a little off topic, but yeah. But I mean, I agree. Captain America deserves to be on the list. It's like I said, just not my exact favorite, but I understand why people like it.
It's fine,
and I give it a ton of props for what it did.
Sure. Number 4 could be deserving of that.
I'm gonna throw the one I mentioned a second ago out there. Scott Pilgrim versus the World.
Oh.
No. Yes.
I'm not really a Edgar Wright guy, but I understand why people like it because he's a everyday kind of geek who decides I'm gonna stop taking shit and get the girl of my dreams.
Well, plus, yeah, I mean, but I mean, it is based off a comic. It made Canada look way more awesome than it is because you collect coins for killing people.
Yeah.
But when you look at the cast that's in that movie, you had Captain Marvel in that movie. You had Superman in that movie. You had the Punisher. You had a lot of actors that were helping poke fun at the genres, right? Which was which I thought was fun. It was almost like a Naked Gun about comic book movies.
Yeah, it was kind of Sky High, Naked Gun.
Yeah, and I enjoyed some of the scenes. I thought I'm not a huge fan of who's the actor that's in it, the main guy.
Michael Cera, yeah.
Yeah, I'm not a huge Michael Cera fan, but I enjoyed him as Scott Pilgrim. And
I guess I'm kind of more of a Hancock guy, so
that's a good one too. I mean, I can't discount that. But I just thought it was fun, and it was nice how they melded reality with comics in that movie. I thought, like when they're having the battle of the bands and the two DJ guys have that giant dragon appear.
Yeah,
and then they're like the grunge punk band, and this like weird looking like mutated Hulk shows up.
Right.
Yeah, I like the scenes like that.
All good.
But yeah, it was cool seeing a lot of the actors who had previously been in comic book movies or would be destined for greatness, like Chris Evans, you know, play characters in that movie.
For sure. Man, number 4. That's some steep competition now. Who could be the top 3? I mean, shit. Obviously, I don't think any of us are going to go for Superman because, I mean, when you got someone who's going to just get back up after you take the kryptonite out of them, that's not really a challenge, is it? You know?
Yeah, I mean, I give DC credit over the years in the comics for making him, like, more vulnerable. I mean, there have been some, you know, bad guys that took him down pretty good.
Would you
put? I wouldn't put any of his movies in the top. I wouldn't put any of his movies on the list, to be honest.
Would you rank Spider-Man in there somewhere? Because he's kind of just an over-the-top asshole who's got grandparent issues. Or no, it's Uncle Ben, technically, yeah. And just having this just kind of video game kind of antics, kind of like Deadpool, just jumping around.
Yeah, you know, I don't know because like I really liked the first Sam Raimi one. Again, it's one of those cases where I don't normally like the guy that played him, Tobey Maguire, but I like the Sam Raimi movie.
Right.
I don't know.
Maybe go with Deadpool.
I can't say I would. But Deadpool would be closer.
Okay.
They never really made a good Punisher movie. So
Yeah,
sadly,
Punisher,
that's not in there.
I kind of do like Punisher, but yeah, I know what you mean. You take it away, it would just be a simple revenge movie. There's nothing really to it. No real.
You just changed the name.
Well, and even the show, I remember everyone was like, "I like it," but I got bored at certain points because it's not, other than my interest in the comics, there's not really anything to it. And it's like, yes,
There's some other options, right? You have Red.
Oh, Red's a good pick.
Red's fantastic.
Having these
and
A-Team Expendables guys and how they're kind of...
And they're senior citizens.
Yeah, senior citizens, having the whole kind of... they're fighting all these Born Identity Manchurian Candidate type people. And
there's some great dialogue, too.
Absolutely. And if you didn't have all the Tarantino dialogue, they'd easily be like V from V for Vendetta, and just having this whole just kind of is like, yeah, people fucked with us. I don't care who you are. I'm gonna fuck with you back.
Yeah, I mean, they're not technically superheroes, but
it's a comic book adaptation, so that's all good. Yeah,
they're kind of They kind of are, right? Because is it Helen Mirren that's in it? And
she's a super assassin. She's like 70 years old, and
she's talking to the younger girl, and she's like, if you hurt him, I will kill you or something.
Yeah, and having Anthony Hopkins as a James Bond type villain, but he puts on this whole act for the whole time. I don't know who I am. I'm supposedly a very brilliant scientist.
Well, to be fair, Malkovich might very well be a superhero.
Oh yeah, and
he was fantastic.
To have
that's up there as one that we could choose. Right?
He doesn't know how to kind of. If you put him alongside, Morgan Freeman and even Byung Lee's villain turned ally, that they put on this public image, but you take that away, they're batshit bananas, will gladly kill people. Not break a sweat about it. I was like, yeah, that was kind of fun. I enjoyed that a little too much, and I have no regrets. So
I mean, that's one that would be something we could consider, right?
I go for it, man. It needs more love. I'm still waiting on part 3, and it's never gonna get made.
I know. All right, well, I'm gonna say that I'm gonna go with that one then.
Go for it. Bruce Willis is having fun. There's Frank Moses. Mary Louise Parker is kind of also a fun heroine of the team because she's just a geeky girl who's in this conserved lifestyle, and she finds that she gets off on their violence. She likes it and wants to be one of them. She looks up to Mirren's assassin gal and all the other guys telling you got to be with these men of danger. They're awesome.
I will say that they also didn't make her like a 19-year-old girl, right?
No.
She's not old, but she's maybe 30 something,
younger, like just graduated
early 30s,
college.
Maybe mid to late 20s.
Yeah.
So she's not, it's not like too creepy that him and her get together.
There's that, and movie number, and they're both share unusual Frank. They always surprise each other. And that's why they all bond even more. And I love in movie number 2 where they're in the embassy. They've been going the whole movie she's been learning how to do the whole James Bond disguise lingo, and they've been having to find out different ways to dispatch everybody since they're unusually tough assassins for both their age and their skill set. And so then it's just so funny when they go for the embassy and they all shoot the guards all at the exact same time. And the music with it is just perfect. And it's like, and the creator of the comic even approved of the movie. It was like of a Vertigo DC or whatever.
Vertigo, yeah. It was a Vertigo one.
Yeah, and he approved of it. He's like, yeah, changes need to be made. I'm just glad that you guys even wanted to adapt my property. So I'm gonna make the work on it with you guys and make sure the assassins are at least somewhat likable and not just nihilistic. Do whatever I want, falling down idiots. No, they're actually pretty smart, and they're always settling down until their house gets blown up. Then they decide, no one's fucking with us.
That's right. So that's number 3. Now, I know you probably was that number 3? Yeah, right.
Yep.
Now I know you have something cooked up for number 1.
Oh well.
But so I'm going to toss this one out here. I'm going to toss in a monkey wrench.
Oh.
And we could either put it at number 2 or just keep it off the list.
Go for it.
This has an all-star cast. Chris Evans is in this one.
Ooh.
It's based off a comic book, and no one knew. And I thought it was just a lot of fun, much like Red. No, The Losers.
Oh, well.
Jeffrey Dean Morgan, Chris Evans, Idris Elba, Zoe Saldana.
I'll do you one better. Why not just replace it with The Expendables?
That's tough because I really liked Jeffrey Dean Morgan in this.
And
I really like Chris Evans in this because this was so out of Evans, Evans is Captain America. In this, he's a computer geek.
Yeah, his computer geek's kind of the only thing I really remember about this movie, and I like Morgan. I don't know.
But The Expendables,
Barney Ross and all those other guys.
And then, like I said, I'm just throwing this one out there. We could substitute The Expendables for it. That works for me too, because Expendables. I mean, come on, it's
having Lee Christmas, Yin Yang, and what's Terry Cruz's character, Hell Caesar, and just the way he's much like Malkovich, where he's just, here's how you load AA-12,
That's true. We can go with The Expendables. I'll give you that one.
I'm still
and
waiting.
Statham, Stallone. I mean,
Snipes, Banderas.
I'd really like to see another one where it's like,
I'd love to see Van Damme.
Oh, I'd love to see Jeff Speakman. But I mean, from The Perfect Weapon. I mean, he's one of the few guys that made a couple movies, but that was like legitimately a badass.
Yeah, a lot of people were like us, were hoping there wasn't going to be any direct-to-video icons, and I'm like, I'm sorry, you gotta have freaking.
Oh, there's plenty of them.
You could have Joe Laura, Frank Zagarino, any of those new
Don the Dragon Wilson.
Oh yes.
I mean, I don't know what.
Oh my God.
I don't know how to feel about that.
I'm joking, dude.
I know.
But yeah, I mean, you could have the other Jeff Wincott. Yeah, would be his right hand man. Yeah.
Like I would. Seriously, they should just keep making them like Dancing with the Stars does, and just keep going further down the line.
Oh yeah,
like, go from A to B list, dude. Give better writers. Give me Bruce Campbell as the leader. Give me Jeff Speakman and whoever else. I'd be totally happy with that.
Oh, better yet, it could even cross. Some of the same people are working on The Hitman's Bodyguard. It could cross over into that. That'd be a lot of fun.
There you go.
And then have Mike Banning from Olympus Has Fallen make a random cameo and be like, oh, do I know you guys? There yet? Yeah. Just have Gerard Butler from Law Abiding Citizen as the bad guy.
Wouldn't it be cool to see? Because Jet Li's in the first one, right? Wouldn't it be cool to see
He's in all three?
Yeah. Wouldn't it be cool to see like Chow Yun-Fat?
Yes.
John Woo. I mean. There's so many
Donnie Yen.
Yeah, there's so many iconic martial art masters from like the 80s and 90s. Hell, Jackie Chan.
They tried to get him and Pierce Brosnan in a few different ones and just never seemed to work out. But you could even have Liam Neeson as a bad guy at the start, and he gets kicked in like the ass or something, and he's like, "Oh my God, I thought I had a special set of skills," or some random shit like that. And then they go on to the net. They can literally do the next one like a video game, where basically everybody is here making their cameo. Tom Selleck appears as the new CIA chief. He's like,
he's got a Hawaiian shirt on.
Yes, he could have a Hawaii. Yeah, is that his? Or better yet, he could even say, "Well, what do you think I do? Go around all day throughout Miami,
driving a Ferrari."
Yeah,
driving a Ferrari in Hawaii.
Yeah, there you go. Just have some other like little minor thing that you could have Hasselhoff as a evil villain. It's like,
oh, Hasselhoff would have been great to have had it.
Don't hassle me, motherfucker.
Oh, he would have been great. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, the third one,
Robert Patrick.
It doesn't even need. Like I hate seeing IMDb ratings because they go down for each movie. It's not supposed to be an Oscar-winning movie,
right? If you can handle a goofy Bollywood movie and give it an 8 out of 10 for the absurd.
Plus, come on, Kelsey Grammer was in the third one.
Oh yeah, Fraser Crane,
Antonio Banderas. I mean, come on,
playing a guy named Rapido. And then Mel Gibson playing a guy who's not too dissimilar, even says the same famous line from Desperado: "How many guys does it take to kill one guy?"
Yeah, I mean, I they could easily just keep going on it. I would just be. If they beat Fast and the Furious into the ground,
There you go.
I think this has more potential to keep going than that did.
That or Mission Impossible, even,
Oh yeah, my buddy thinks that the Mission Impossible movies, the last like 3 or 4, have been better than the last couple Bond movies. I kind of agree with him, which hurts a little bit because I'm not a huge Tom Cruise fan, really. I mean, I like a lot of movies he's in, but he always plays the same character.
Oh,
right?
exactly.
Like Cole Trickle is the same character as Maverick, is the same character as however many other ones, where he starts off being a douchebag, becomes humbled, and then saves the day.
Right. Anyone could have been in A Few Good Men or a Minority Report. So it's just like, okay.
Yeah.
People make the mistake that because you're in good movies, you're a good actor. It's like, well, an editor can do anything with anything,
Well, yeah, you're right to a point.
Well, that's just it. And there's always going to be performers who vary by audience. I mean, half these people on the list, I know many people who hate them with a passion. They hate Arnold. They hate Will Smith. They hate they won't give any movie they're in the time of day just because they hate them that much. Since that's a shame. It's like I like to at least watch the movie and then say, hey, I don't like the star, but that movie's kind of entertaining.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Well, hell, if we can't do The Punisher, so can we do Commando?
Hell yeah, we could do Commando. First off, any Schwarzenegger movie, he is a superhero.
Absolutely.
That's what I enjoyed about the 80s action movies like that. Everyone's like, oh, they're just bro movies. There's so much testosterone. There's no plot. You know what? The good guy never dies. Just and to me, that's how video games are. If I'm playing a good guy, I shouldn't die at the end of the damn game. I don't need this to be like a Sundance like film festival movie. And you watch Commando, and Commando enveloped like 2 different generations of action from the 70s through the 90s.
Oh yeah, and you're talking video game generations.
The
People
one-liners.
swear exactly. And to have a super James Bond villain dressed in chainmail, have a unlikely heroine who basically knows how to use a rocket launcher. It's just like to
Tommy Chong's daughter.
Yeah, Ray Don. Oh,
Ray Don Chong. Yeah, she was.
And to have this guy who's basically an emotionless killing machine, only knows how to, smile and raise his daughter, to have him say
a daughter that was cast so horribly that there'd be no way he could have been her dad.
Yeah. I don't know what the mother was, but yeah. Okay. To have this kind of just unusual tour de force, all these memorable henchmen who you look forward to their comeuppance, and the fictional country of Valverde, which I wish they would use more often in movies.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, I swear I will do that in a movie, and no one will care, but I will do that next time. I will use the Oceana Airlines that they use in every other movie or show, and then I will say, yes, he's free. Here, I'll have a dead, downright serious movie, and I'll see if someone catches the 2 tours in Valverde.
Hey, I told you I'd be more than happy to work on writing a pointless action movie with you.
Oh well, I'm doing some hitman and prison themed movies, so
that's what I think you sent me that one.
Oh yeah,
it was pretty good. I liked it.
Okay. So I guess that's kind of the basis for Matrix. He's technically, if you take it away, he's kind of a terrible person, but because you start out the movie with him doing what every man does, which is work around the house and not be happy at all, just breaking a sweat, chopping down trees.
Yeah, but is John Matrix really a bad guy? I mean, he was but
it's like basically he's haunted by this guy.
Maybe a shit father. I mean, I don't know. But
yeah, he let his daughter get into danger, but the fact that he basically doesn't. You combine it with the whole don't take shit from anybody, instead of just he basically refuses an offer from someone who's going to reassign him, and then he doesn't admit that the guy's right, but he asks for his help, and the guy's like, I'll stall you. You have till the rest of the movie to figure this out. I know you can invade that island. And so, by Jim Cotta logic, Ballistic X versus Sever logic, just having all this even Showdown in freaking Little Tokyo, logic. Just having this guy who, uses everything at his disposal, but instead of being just John McClane or Jason Bourne or even freaking Jack Bauer or anybody on the unit, he has MacGyver type mentality where he's able to just kind of just make a big deal out of anything,
Mm-hmm.
And I've never seen them all with that many cops, but that alone makes the movie even better. It's like,
when he picks up the phone booth.
yeah, just literally just raffle around, and
there's nothing about that doesn't make him a superhero. And it's funny because we could have picked the movie where he was a comic book superhero.
Oh, Last Action Hero.
I just don't think that was that good a movie, though.
Exactly.
And I felt it was so weird because that came out right around the time Demolition Man did.
Yeah.
And I remember in that they said that, like, Stallone was like the Terminator.
They were having their rivalry back then.
Yeah,
much like Jay Leno and Letterman.
Yeah, but it was like fun, right? Like they didn't seem to hate each other.
And I've had fun with it growing up, but I would never, ever in a million years put it as his top 10. It's a fun movie to a point, but there's so many other movies that I think do that concept way better.
Oh yeah, that's what I mean. It just didn't.
Commando is the type of movie.
Commando is a better movie with less budget.
And more flaws, and yet it does it with glee.
More script.
And more. It's not Samurai Cop where you're just laughing at the screen and it's like, okay, this is a different kind of shit sandwich. This is a shit sandwich made with love. It would be wonderful to be put it in a double feature with some arguably better movie like True Lies or Eraser. Even one of the Terminators, just to see how a man who didn't ever think he was going to be taken all that serious, but believed in himself and was willing to have so much fun with this movie and with someone else who had done so many exploitation, action horror movies, and just everybody's just firing on all cylinders, just saying, hey, we don't care. We are doing what we want to do. This is Michael Bay before it's a thing, it's.
Yeah. Well, it's funny, like the 80s, that was full of that, right? Like we just, it hasn't posted yet because we're in the process of switching some stuff over, but we just recorded, a synopsis of Miami Connection.
Woo!
Which is by all means not a great movie, but at the end of watching it, I was like, I don't know what it was. I felt good about it. I'm like, I enjoyed this. I don't know. I couldn't place it. And we were reading about like the history of it and stuff. And really the guy that wrote it's just like, hey, I want to write a movie that, like, he was watching the talk show with this Taekwondo expert on it. And he's like, hey, I want to make a movie about Taekwondo. And he's like, and they did. And I'm like, there's some corny ass shit in it, but
why do I have a feeling that's in the same universe as Samurai Cop?
It probably is. Maybe Commando also. But it ended up not being a horrible movie the way I expected. Like when it first started, because it
comes on TCM. So
well, everything does. They might as well just get rid of the C part of that name.
Right, Turner Movies.
Yeah. So it opens and they're like a new wave band of college people, except for the guy that leads them, and they all live together and they have this convertible Impala, and they end up fighting like drug dealers and biker gangs. It's like playing Renegade, the video game from the 80s or something.
Oh my god, yeah. Walker Texas Ranger.
Yeah, it's just so ridiculous. But that's how but it had the same quality you said with Commando, where you felt like they wanted to make this, they enjoyed making it.
Oh, and they loved it.
Even if it wasn't great to other people, they are proud of it. And that's how that movie was. Like the guy was shot down by like 9 movie studios. They're like, dude, this sucks, don't make it.
Right.
He still went out and did it.
Like they ever checked a thing in their life,
Yeah, but I mean, I guess it's like you said, it was an unlikely success. Commando was clearly more successful than Miami Connection. Although although I guess like Miami Connection has a huge following now, but Commando always had a following. So yeah, I'll agree with you completely on that one.
Yeah, I just figure it's referenced time and again. I mean, it's even in reference to Deadpool. I love at the end where he goes, Commando. And people I know thought, oh, he's referring to as No Underwear. I'm like, no, he's referring to the One Man Army movie classic. I mean, come on. He referenced all the Takens.
I mean, there's ones we could have thrown on there that would've-
Always. We'll definitely do another one. We were supposed to have a few other people on here, and
I'm just gonna toss. I'm gonna toss 2 honorable mentions out: Big Trouble in Little China,
fair enough.
which
I'm not the audience for it, but I totally understand the love. I absolutely get why people love Jack Burton and Kim Cattrall, and
plus it's the predecessor of Mortal Kombat, like a guy that looks just like Raiden's in it.
right. I guess I don't know. I just respond so much more to Showdown in Little Tokyo, even though it's clearly not a well-made movie, but
It's a good movie though. That is a good flick.
It's just so much fun, and it even has the bad guy from Mortal Kombat. So I mean,
That's true. It does. And the other one I would toss out there would be Crank.
And you had Crank. You could probably put Falling Down because he's kind of the more Punisher than the Punisher.
Oh yeah, Falling Down is the best Punisher movie they made.
But
the thing with Crank is once he gets drugged up, he has to be a superhero.
He's absolutely a superhero. He is a douchebag who kills other douchebags and doesn't make sure that you don't forget it. He is the anti-transporter. He is the guy who just pretty much he comes into your house and you don't ask any questions and you give him what he wants. No rape.
The funniest thing about that movie was that everyone gave me shit for liking it because they're like, well, the end's so unlikely. I'm like, hang on a second.
You
have
had
no problem with any of the other shit he does in the movie.
Impossible car
you like
stunts.
all this, yeah, you like all these other movies with all this impossible shit. The thing that happens like 2 times a year where someone falls out of a plane and a chute doesn't open and they somehow live, that's the part you think is far-fetched. The thing that really does happen occasionally is where you draw the line.
Right.
I'm like, what? Come on. But nah, it's been fun, man. That's a good 10.
By all means, we might even have to mention some Dolph Lundgren heroes that should have gotten their own sequel because he's got plenty. I'll
Rucker Hauer movies.
There you go. I'll throw in some other honorable mentions. MacGyver. I mean,
oh yeah,
no explanation needed. The original. Jack Bauer, Kiefer Sutherland on 24. Just the whole. I feel his pain. I feel his cliches. I feel all these guys being their own kind of more serious version of Nikita, James Bond, and just having.
Yeah, I'd like to feel their paychecks.
Right. And it is a fun show despite being just as depressing as any of the Law and Orders or CSIs, and yet having all these fun villains, all these diehard speed type scenarios, and Hitchcock level suspense and Condor level political assassinations. I never get sick of rewatching that show. The Man with the Iron Fist, even though it's just supposed to be just a 70s Bruce Lee tribute, I do kind of like how he starts out as a wimpy guy, and yet you have all these cameos. They don't really feel forced at all. You have Pam Grier in there, Sonny Chiba, but they actually feel like part of the story instead of just we had a famous person there for one day. Let's get someone like the Hammer or somebody, you know.
Yeah. I'd even toss in Blind Fury, the Rucker Hauer one.
That would totally be a superhero movie because he basically, he's
blind,
and he's learning how to be a samurai, or he is a samurai already. Yeah, and
he's left for dead in Vietnam and is taught how to fight in the way of whichever type it is, and they didn't take the safe route. They didn't make the movie in Vegas. No. They went to poor man's Vegas. They went to Reno.
Nevada. There you go. How about Duncan MacLeod on the Highlander TV show?
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Or any of the Highlanders.
There you go. Even the Highlander villains, because they were supposedly good people at times before they got killed in whatever war they were in.
Well, and realistically, like, if you're a Highlander, at some point, you're going to have to kill another Highlander.
There's that, and it's kind of fun seeing all the other guys who don't really serve the story but are in the background, and basically the peacekeepers who get killed, and because they always have like one line of dialogue, and it's like, I would have actually, much like any of the Jedi Knights or Sith Lords, actually like to see you guys be in some fights before you died. But yeah, it's funny how they basically, because each time they die, they not only take all the guys' kills and powers and immortality, but it's like a video game. You get all these extra points and everything. It's like if
they're like the alien.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, and like the Predator, you hunt for sport, and then you have all this other shit where basically it's like if you were a super gangster in a 2D fighting video game, and you got all your street cred. I killed you, but now I not only like Grand Theft Auto own all the block, but
yeah,
everybody knows me for being actually me because I'm you now.
The first Mortal Kombat movie was pretty good too.
Yeah, and I actually kind of like Paul W.S. Anderson as a filmmaker because he really does.
I get so much crap for that, but I look at his list of
they
movies.
Always go,
like,
don't
like
you
it,
mean
like it.
Right, and they're like, don't you mean Paul Thomas Anderson? I'm like, no, fuck that. I love Paul W.S. Anderson. I love Pompeii. Soldier Can Be Fun, and what's the other one? AVP Unrated. Always go with the unrated.
Didn't he do Silent Hill?
No, but pretty close. I like that guy too. He did Crying Freeman. So there you go. There's a superhero.
Yeah. Oh man, we can go on and on, but we probably shouldn't.
It's all good.
You got things. You got things to do.
Yeah. Oh fuck! I should have already prepped dinner. So Johnny, where can we find you on the interwebs?
You could find us on the interwebs on Facebook. You could look us up at the Attack of the B Movie Podcast or at Potoky Creative, Potoky Creative. We soon will be. We're on lots of the other platforms. If you search for the podcast, it shows up. We have like 5 or 6 episodes waiting to be posted. And we'll be probably posting those soon. We'll be part of the Squabble Box family for those. So
don't attack him, B movie fans.
So we'll still be doing what we do best, which is review talk about really what most people consider bad movies that we love.
Oh yeah.
I may have another project coming up that I'm thinking of doing too, based off the B Movie Podcast. I gotta see if James is game for it, if he wants to do 2, or if not, I gotta find someone else. But I'd like to do another one of that. Yeah, I was gonna say, and you'd be a good guest guy, and so would some of the other guys.
Shit.
Yeah, I'll tell you about it a little bit later on. But yeah, I got a good idea. So, but yeah, you can find us at Potoky, or it's not PotokyCreative.com, but it's PTKYCreative.com.
Yeah, you're always posting some memes and updates on there, and you keep up.
Yeah, I got a bunch of articles. We took like a bit of a hiatus. I was moving at the time, and a lot of stuff was going on. So we're coming back with more stuff. It's just a matter of getting back into groove,
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, we don't plan on stopping. So I'm pretty happy about that. And I love being on your show too. I mean, so
anytime.
But yeah, I appreciate having me on, man. It's always a pleasure. It's always a good time. It's like such a nice walk down memory lane. I feel 10 years younger.
Well, and that's what we should be doing instead of
until I get up and my knee hurts.
Oh,
my
look
back
what so and so posted. I hate them now, or I love them now.
Yeah.
It's like, why
just
not?
Appreciate like what you like, and just accept the fact that other people like things and that you don't, and don't like things you do.
Well, and sometimes I hate to even sound this way. Sometimes the more fucked up a certain famous person is, the more you have to joke around.
Mm-hmm.
Charlie Sheen being Charlie Sheen is the best thing that ever happened to Charlie Sheen, because that's all Charlie Sheen knows.
And he embraced it.
He might not be actually winning anymore, but you can't tell me you haven't used that line. Tiger blood.
Dude, the guy was winning. The guy was winning for like 50 years.
Oh, baby. So now I know why people respond to him. He's like, he might be a coke addicted, whore banging loser, but he's our kind of loser. I want to be just like that motherfucker.
He's almost a superhero.
He kind of is in Hot Shots too. So there you go. Yeah,
it's true. The Wraith.
Yeah, the Wraith. Yeah, he gets killed and transformed into like a killing robot or some shit
kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah, and he's a transformer. There you go.
He was the only one to survive the movie Platoon. Well, not the only one, but one of the few.
Oh well, hell! Why didn't we mention Rambo? Fuck. Rambo, Murdoch, I'm coming for you.
Oh yeah, we didn't even think about that one. Shit.
And
actually, not even Rambo. Rambo 3 would be the more superhero one.
Oh yeah,
he takes on the Soviet army.
Yeah, that no need to adapt Call of Duty or the video game Mercenaries Game of Destruction. That was
it. It was done. Yep. He shoots down a helicopter with a rocket launcher with an RPG from another helicopter.
Oh yeah, and at one time he like ducks, and all these highly trained Russian Soviets who are like somehow don't know that the Cold War is over and have taken over parts of Afghanistan still are like shoot each other by accident. And it's like,
we could have
saving Bin Laden.
Yeah. We could have put Triple X on that list too.
Oh, there you go. I love
everyone gives me crap about that. I still like that first one.
I just love the third one, man.
I haven't seen the third yet.
He makes fun of the whole franchise. Both he and Ice Cube make fun of their silly earlier installments. And at one point, he's tracking Donnie Yen, a suspected terrorist. He sees him from across the room, and next thing you know, they lock eyes. And next thing you know, they're right beside each other. After all this buildup, you think they're across the fucking room, and in typical Jim Cotta Miami Connection, they're, hey, yeah, what?
That's
okay.
Awesome. I gotta check that one out. I enjoyed the first one. I did.
Oh yeah, and he does total throwbacks to the whole "I live for this shit." He does so many. He does even a more over the top plane crash, if you will, just to finish out the whole fucking movie. It's like, oh my god! And I kid you not, me and my pal JB from college, we saw that opening night. I was exhausted. I had work the next day, and we just said, fuck it, let's go see this movie opening night on Friday. And we're like, ego, loved it every minute. I don't care if it's intentional or not. It's wonderful.
It's awesome.
But it's pretty self-aware while also being overkill, but it's a fair enough counter to the Expendables. They're supposedly gonna maybe try another one. I think it made enough money back in China, but it should totally, I would be fine with it being
one more. I'd be good with.
I'd rather him be Zonder rather than whatever the fuck his name is in Fast being Brotherhood.
Dominic Toretto.
There's nothing to that character. There really isn't. Just other than I'm a Point Break wannabe. It's like, no, you should have made sequels to Point Break rather than freaking remake Point Break and then do a dozen Fast and Furious in space.
Oh, man. All right. Well, I'm going to let you go because you need to start dinner.
Unfortunately. But no, always great having you on here.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it. And,
anytime. Just let me know what schedule you come across, and I'll make time.
Follow us on the web on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. The podcast is available on Podbean, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Anchor, Apple, and anywhere else podcasts are available. Feel free to review our show and leave comments on any of those sites. Thanks a million for listening.
It's a jacked up review show.